right, it's May 2019. Things are going really well for me, playing a lot of drums, doing a lot of acting. And so for in my acting world, I signed up for a casting website and I get emails, when there's something new that fits my profile. And so I got this one and it was a little bit different. It was a casting notice, but for a drummer. So, and I look at it and it was for Great America, so this is a theme park here in the Bay Area and I've been going there since I was a little kid and I love theme parks. I've always thought it would be cool to kind of like see the, behind the scenes for a theme park. And so there's this casting call for a drummer for Great America. And I'm just like, wow. So it was for a band that would play in the park. So I'm not sure why I was in the casting, in why they posted an ad in an actor's casting. I thought, what the hell? And I went down there. All right, so it was an open casting call. So that means anybody can go. You just show up, I think I did have to email them and they gave me the address and the time and all that. But anybody can just show up and you wait in line, you fill out a form or whatever. So I went down there and, this is the entrance. It was really cool. I already was starting to get the feeling that, hey, I'm, getting behind the scenes. I'm going into the park while it was closed. So that was the coolest thing. And so I had actually started playing softball also, men's softball, and I busted my ankle, and so I'm like, I'm kind of limping, so I felt bad about that. And, when it was finally my turn to go in for the audition, I just had to tell everybody, hey, look, I busted my ankle. I hope it's only a temporary thing. I should be fine. But, I'm hobbling, so I had to say something. So anyway, they had a theater, they have theaters at this place and at this theme park. And so they had us go in, they would call people. So it was my turn. They called me and the guy kind of ushered me down the hall and then up onto the stage where there was a drum set already up there. And there were like 3 judges down in the first row of the audience or whatever. And so I don't remember, I think for the drums, they didn't have like any, like I didn't have to prepare something. I don't recall that part, but I do remember I sat up there, they had sticks, I brought my own, but they had everything. And they had a camera over here and another camera over here, I believe. And so, because it is a theme park, they want to see how you behave and your mannerisms and stuff. You're supposed to always be kind of cheerful and nice to people and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I started playing. They're just like, play something. And so I started playing something. I really can't remember. I have absolutely no idea, no recollection of what I played. But I remember, I was confident. I felt good about it. And they said, okay, great, thank you. And I guess they probably asked me some questions. I remember talking with them a little bit. They just questions about how you are around, or in front of people and your experience and that kind of stuff. So all that, I'm totally comfortable with everything. So then I was done. I walked out, but I had also signed up to audition for piano. I thought, why not cast a wide net? And so I did actually prepare 2 pieces for piano. Because I think it said that. It said to prepare some stuff. So a short while later, they called me back up to do piano. And so I sat there. They had electric keyboard. I had prepared a couple of Chick Corea piano pieces that I'd known forever. So I did have to brush up on them a little bit. But so I get there and, when you play piano, you use the sustain pedal quite a bit. and I had never used like an electric piano, and they had, I mean, I have an electric piano, but it has a proper sustain pedal. It's like all connected. But this one was like a keyboard, and the sustain pedal was this cheap little plastic thing, and like I'm every time I press it, it makes like this loud click. It's like the worst. And I remember, so I'm auditioning, and I hit this thing, and it starts clicking, and I'm like looking down, like, what the hell? I think I said that like audibly. I'm playing. I'm like, what the hell? So maybe that wasn't the best audition. But I played well, other than for the damn cheap pedal that they provided. But anyway, so that was the solo bits. So then, again, they walked me away back outside. And now it's time for the combo audition portion of it. So they brought me back in to play drums, and they had two other guys I didn't know, never met before. One guy playing the keyboards and another guy playing sax. And they're just like, play something. And, we're just like looking at each other. I don't know who these guys are. They don't know me. And the keyboard player says, oh, let's play blah, 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 like some jazz standard. And I'd never heard of it, actually. He's like, let's play blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows that. He's like, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so, we start playing. It turned out it was very basic jazz stuff, that you could tell what was coming next. And so we actually played really well together, I thought. Went over great. So that was it. That was the audition. They said they would call us. So a couple days later, I'm actually at a commercial shoot, somewhere else, and we're in like a little break time or something. Unfortunately, they call me at this break. It was just a lucky coincidence. I get the call, and the guy's like, yeah, we'd love for you to play, not as the main drummer, but as the swing drummer. I'm like, okay, what's the swing drummer? And it turns out that's their term for a substitute. So they chose a different main drummer, and I would be the guy to fill in when the main drummer wasn't there. So I thought, okay, whatever, that sounds all right, because it was going to be a very heavy schedule. They perform quite a bit. So this was actually good for me. So I said, all right, great, I'll take it. And that was that. So next thing I know, I'm getting all these emails from like HR departments and and stuff like that. It's like, I was an employee basically. So this wasn't a typical gig where you just kind of show up and they pay you when it's done. I had to fill out an application form. They give me this employee's handbook, and had to go to HR for like, sensitivity training and stuff like that. And, whatever, they paid me for all this stuff. So, and I, again, I'm at the park. I got to go to the employees' entrance, and, all this stuff I just thought was really interesting and new, and stuff that I thought was really cool ever since I was a kid. So here I am, in my 40s, finally doing this. And so, I'm not a big fan of all the paperwork and all the hoops, but whatever. It was just kind of funny that I'm playing drums at a theme park and I'm an employee. It was just kind of bizarre to me. But it totally makes sense now. It is a business. They have to run it. There are tons of employees there. So, obviously they have to run it like a business. I never really kind of thought of it that way. So, they had like a sign on on the wall of just like paydays, and just everything that you would get at a regular company. They had initiation or orientation, not initiation, not like a gang, orientation day, where you show up and they tell you about all the policies, how to treat people that, like, guests, they call them, how to treat the guests that ask you questions, and like things that you would never think of, like when you're pointing, you don't point with the finger like if somebody asks you where the bathroom is, you don't say it's over there. You point like this, and you say it's over there, and you follow this, and then you know, just little things, you know, and because the theory is if you go like this, somebody else might see you and think that you're pointing at them, and they might get offended. So if you do this, like Vanna White or something, so they think of all these things, you know, and they train you. They train you. And, you know, and then they gave us a tour of the park and the back lot area, you know. So when you're an employee, there's all sorts of hallways and just places to walk that are private to the employees, to get to your part of the park. And, you know, there's bathrooms for employees. There's like a cafeteria. There's all these phones everywhere. Like you have to punch in with the time clock. and for every break, you have to punch in and out for breaks. And so they had these phones, like old style phones where you like punch in numbers, and that's how you do your time clock. It's kind of interesting. You know, I've never done anything like that, but it's just kind of funny to see all these people hovering around phones to punch in and out for their time clock. They were very strict about the time thing. You know, everybody had to get their breaks, and if you like try to punch back in before it was like 15 minutes, it would say, sorry, you haven't used all your break yet. Because I guess they had a problem with people claiming that they weren't given time for breaks. So they were very strict about breaks and punching in and out. And, you know, I don't care. Whatever, I'll do it. It was interesting to me to see all of that, stuff that you wouldn't think of at an amusement park. But here it was. I'm an employee at an amusement park. I had like a name badge. It was awesome. What the hell? And so while all this orientation and paperwork was going on, I'm getting communications from the music director. And that's her there, Dolo. She was the music director, and actually, so she came up with the set list. So a bunch of songs from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even to today. You know, kind of like easy listening, I guess you would call it, kind of jazzy. Because the whole idea of this band was we'd be playing in a little courtyard right outside of the Starbucks. So the idea was, you know, you get a coffee and just kind of relax to the band. And so she chose the songs, and I only knew 2 of them. So I had my work cut out for me. But the cool thing that she did, she actually transcribed the music for all of us, drums included. So she actually wrote out drum charts. So that was very helpful. She wrote out charts for everybody, but I was surprised to see the actual drum charts. Because, you know, typically if you're doing covers, which essentially this was, we were a cover band, typically they just give you the recorded version of the song and said, you know, learn it. So she did give us MP3s of the songs too, and so that helped. So she did a great job of giving us all the materials we needed to be well prepared. So that was really cool. So I could tell, you know, this was a very well run organization, and they treated it seriously. You know, they wanted a high quality, high caliber performance out of the band. So as you can see, I am the old guy. So there are a bunch of, in the band, there's mostly college age people and a couple of high school kids, I believe. And they had actually all worked together. They played in the band the previous year. So, you know, this is why I'm the swing drummer. I'm not the main drummer, Riley. He had some conflicts, like, you know, I think he was going away with his family and to a church camp or something. So there was a week or 2 where he couldn't be there. So they needed a drummer that would be well rehearsed like everybody. So I went to the rehearsals. I went to every rehearsal just like everybody else and learned it as if I were the main drummer. Obviously I wasn't, but I had to know the songs just as well as the main drummer. So it was kind of interesting. Here I am, twice the age of these guys, but I still think of myself as young. I'm young at heart, and so I didn't mind at all. I can imagine it probably felt weird to them, but over time we got to know each other personally and musically, and so over time it wasn't nearly as big of a deal as it was at first. It's just kind of weird. But Dolo was my age, so I wasn't the only mature person there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, they were all very talented, very capable, multi-instrumentalists. Pretty much everybody played multiple instruments. In fact, Camilo, he was actually the guy that I auditioned with. He played keyboards during the audition and ended up being the bass player, the primary bass player in this band, but was also the swing keyboardist when Joe could not be there. He's the primary keyboardist. When he wasn't there, Camilo would play keyboard. So it was kind of cool to have people switching around like that. So we did quite a few rehearsals. I guess partly because there were so many combinations. There's also a swing bass player. I don't see him in this picture. But, so there were a few combinations. So like during rehearsals, Riley would play drums for a little bit and I'm just kind of sitting there. And then we'd have to switch and then everybody would play the song again. So there were a lot of combinations of musicians that we had to accommodate and account for, I guess is the word. So we did quite a few rehearsal days, and it was very well worth it because when opening day came, we totally nailed it. It felt really good. Obviously we got better over time, but the first day, opening day, felt great. And that's due to all the preparation from Dolo and all of the rehearsals from everybody. So the equipment was provided by Great America. The drum set here was a nice Yamaha kit, totally pro. And the new thing for me, which was really interesting, were the congas. So, I've played congas before, and usually you play, they're hand drums, you play with your hands. And there's actually quite a bit of technique to playing the congas. But for this band, because I'm the drummer also playing with sticks, we still wanted to get congas in there because, the whole coffee vibe, congas kind of adds a nice little texture to the music. But there was never like a conga solo, so I would reach over and hit them with the sticks, kind of like some of my other videos where I'm reaching behind me and hitting timpani, which typically you use with mallets. I was doing the same sort of thing here. Usually you play congas with your hands, but we found that hitting them with the sticks actually sounded okay. At that volume, we're just kind of lightly tapping them, so it sounded good actually. You just have to make sure not to hit the rim. That sounds terrible, and you could also damage the drums. But it was cool. It was, another kind of a new thing for me. Playing the drums, kind of light, jazzy, and then little congas here and there, adding into the fills and whatever. So that was great. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And one of the songs was Mia, sung in Spanish. And that was another thing that was really cool. So the guitarist, Stefan, actually sang that with Camilo. Actually, they both split the Spanish language vocals in that. So that was cool. And, I played a little congas in that and also kind of a Latin beat that you'll see in the video. Have a little video snippet of it, and that's the tune we play. And it was, it's just kind of a nice Latin beat. So yeah, I really enjoyed playing congas, and I can see me getting some in the future. And bongos, usually they go together. Congas and bongos, they're all hand drums and they're just different sizes, so you get different pitches, and it's very interesting. So someday. So we got the music prepared and we were feeling good, getting ready for opening day. Now this is a theme park, and so we had a wardrobe designed for us. They actually have wardrobe designers at the park, and so they designed these for, look at this picture. One of these guys is not like the other. But whatever. Look at the costumes are nice. So they're all different, and yet they go well together. So I gotta say, they did a fantastic job with this band. Everything from the music selection, the song selection, the preparation of the music department, and the wardrobe department. They fitted us. We went down there and they took our measurements, and so each one of these wardrobes, each wardrobe was designed to fit, made to fit each of us. Even me, the swing guy, I had my own costume. I keep saying costume, but it's my own wardrobe. And they gave us a changing room. The clothes all stayed at the park in the changing room. So we had to change in and out during each day. So, it was really, really great. Really, I loved actually dressing up in these clothes. It just felt good. They having a good wardrobe or costume kind of gets you into the character, so I enjoyed that aspect of it too. So I guess that's why, they posted it on the casting, because you are acting a little bit and you're putting on a wardrobe, so makes a little bit of sense. Anyway, I got it, so I enjoyed it, so I'm glad that they posted it onto a casting website. Okay, so here we are on opening day, and it was really great. I enjoyed playing with these guys. We got to know each other musically really well, and you can see here we communicate with each other just with looks, and at the end, Stefan will look back at me because he's playing his solo, and when he's done, that's when the song will end, and he would look back to let me know this is it, we're about to end, and so we would end together. And that's the kind of stuff that real musicians do. So all these guys were, they were young, but they were pros. They were really good, knew what they were doing, and we played a great set. It was like 30 or 40 minutes, and we did that same or similar set like 6 times a day. So, after doing that set several times a day, a few days in a row, we got really good. And the other thing about these guys, they were all jazz players too. So we would change things. We would, improvise, stretch solos, all the things that jazz musicians do just to keep things fresh and interesting. Because if you play every song exactly the same every time, it becomes routine and you get bored. So like a lot of the modern pop stars, all the music is so rigid, there's no way to possibly change it every night. And, there's a reason for that, because they have a massive lighting show. They've got dancers, and the music might have sound effects, and it's very complicated. So they have to have it the same every night. So I get that. But as a musician, it's more rewarding to be able to change things and to do things on the fly. So sometimes, we'd be playing along, and I'd look over at Camilo playing the bass, and we would just like do a little riff together, a little punch, a rhythmic thing. And it's that kind of stuff that musicians really enjoy. The audience might not pick up on it, but sometimes they do, I think, and at least they see us enjoying ourselves. So I really enjoyed it, loved playing with these guys. In fact, a lot of them are still playing together in a band called the 408 Collective. So you can check them out. Yeah, really good guys. I wish the best for them. And like all other shows, this one had to come to an end. So we packed up and I thanked everybody. You know, I'd forgotten to mention the crew. There was quite a lot of people, crew members involved with this, people that did the sound and security. Believe it or not, we had to make sure that people weren't going to attack us. Other people just keeping things organized. So a lot of people were involved to make this go off really well. So I thanked everybody. You know, everybody was super cool, like always. Very nice, very helpful, very professional. So yeah, it was time to go. I packed up all the drums, said my goodbyes. But fortunately, there was an employee like end of summer party. So me and my girlfriend did go to that, and I wasn't gonna go just because I'm so much older than everybody. I mean, basically everybody, not everybody, but the vast majority of everybody in the park are high school kids or just out of high school. So I thought it might be weird, but again, I thought, well, it was at the water park, which I had never been to, and when I was a kid, I liked water parks, so I said, why not? Let's just go, and we did, and we didn't stay long, but got to do the water park, and saw Stefan there, so it was good. It was a nice way to close out this little chapter of my life. So I loved it. I was kind of hopeful that next year, 2020, maybe I could do it again, but 2020, everything was shut down. So that didn't work out. But maybe again in the future, 2021, I wasn't really into, performing with masks and all that. It just would be kind of a downer. So maybe next year, 2022, I'm hopeful. Maybe they'll need a swing drummer again. And if so, I would love to be there.